I'd like to call a meeting to order of the Jackson County Commission work session, January 3rd, 2018. First, we need to have roll call. Mr. Manning.
District 1, Mr. Guffey.
Present.
District 2, Mr. Bender.
Present.
District 3, Ms. Gilbert.
Present.
District 4, Mr. Sis.
Present.
Chairman also present.
Thank you, Mr. Manning. Now we have the invocation. Mr. Arnold, would you oblige, please?
Our gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this year, but we're going into, Lord, we thank you for all your blessings throughout the past year, Lord, and we just pray that you just give us patience and understanding, Lord. We pray that you bless this county commission, Lord, all the decisions they make, Lord, you just watch over them. Lord, we thank you for this wonderful county that you've given us, and Lord, we just, as we go into this proceeding today, Lord, we pray that you just bless us with knowledge and guide us and watch over us, and it's in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Ready for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item we have is approval for the agenda for today's work session. Do we have a motion to? We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. For discussion items from the commission, the first thing that we have is community corrections. Now, this was an item that goes back a month or so. It was just understood at that time that this would be brought up at the first work session of the new year.
Yeah, I'll make most of the table that. We got other, waiting on his opinion and wait till he comes in.
Would you?
Put it back on another meeting.
Okay, all right. The next item that we have is county insurance. And I think you will have a quote in your packet from the ACCA and the Travelers. Mr. Manning has done some extensive research on this, and if you have any questions, you might want to refer them to Mr. Manning.
Okay, there's not a liability number for travelers?
No, they didn't, they don't quote, have not been ever quoted the liability section.
Okay, is the auto and the property that ACC always, they said we were going to put together, we went with them, right?
Right, they want the property and the marine auto physical, really they want all of that together.
Okay.
Right. And we had never quoted the liability package since it's through the agency at the ACCA.
Okay.
And the main thing I just pointed out and highlighted on there is when you look at the information that's there, and then made a note of the safety bonuses, longevity bonus, and dividends that we get, put it in the little box down there where you can see what we've been getting and the discounts in the last 3 fiscal years there. And of course, that's not factored into the rates up there. That's just, we get those paid to us each year.
So the other ones have had a chance to make a quote on the liability, but just didn't want to come
No,
forward.
they've never even quoted that one with anyone else. Wouldn't be a bad idea maybe to do that, but I think the issue is that nobody can really compete with the rate through the state. If you're familiar with what happened on the workers' comp, several years ago, when we all went into the state fund, the workers' comp rates just dropped, dramatically. When they're all in the same group.
In this also, you get a longevity bonus, and it's what, at 3 years?
Yes, sir. It's the way the longevity bonus works is each year you sign up for the new liability workers' comp package, you do a 3-year election at that time, and I think we probably approved that in this past year for another 3-year time frame. And at the end of the 3 years is when they pay the longevity bonus based on the performance of the funds and all the different factors they take into consideration. The last longevity bonus was last year, and it was $23,595. Made a note of that for you.
Under the current 2017-18 safety,
They pay that quarterly or?
No, they pay that once a year.
Once a year.
That's all we got
Once a
on
year.
there.
In 2016-17, is that number there?
Right, that's the longevity bonus, that's, you got a little asterisk out the side of that, that was included in that
Okay,
year.
that's
That's
why.
why it's a lot
Okay.
more that 1 year.
Right. Normally, the safety bonus is 15,000 plus the dividend on the, what money's in that fund is usually around 23 or something like that. Some years it's more than that.
What do they base that?
On the safety bonus, you get, you got a 10 count criteria that you got to follow through to get to 15. And we've been lucky enough since the start to be able to follow through with that. And then the other is just what money that,
How the funds all perform and when they calculate.
how much money it makes.
Right,
It could vary from year to year.
it does, it'll vary every year, but the safety discounts are 7,500 and 7,500
Yeah.
for each fund. And on the property insurance that ACCA just got in last year, this is just the second year, so they haven't had any time to evaluate the performance, and actually that's gonna take 2 or 3 years, but in talking with the person that heads that state agency, they're planning on doing the same format with a safety bonus and a dividend bonus on the property program once they get 2, 3, 4 years of history in there. So it'll all work something very similar to the other ones at that time. So it's, you know, trying to put it out there as close of a comparison as to apples as we can, but it's kind of hard to do that.
No way to really put it out there without liability things.
Yeah, the liability is
Matching
such a huge portion, and that's the largest portion actually of the overall premium.
On the 17-18, sorry. The 17-18, is that current or is that projected?
Now, that's what they've already factored in on this year, so we'll
It's
get that.
projected.
Now, that'll be, usually whatever they're projecting, it's gonna be, they've already calculated it, so that's what we'll get this year. It'll come in probably, one check will come in sometime in January, and one of them will come in May. So that's, we know for sure we'll get that amount coming in on the 17 and 18 year.
In dealing with them in the past with the workman's comp and safety policy, it's been August with these safety and longevity bonuses, you can see it's pretty substantial. And with Mr. Manning talking with ACCA, that's what they plan to do with property coming up. I'd hate for us to change and lose the bonus that's potentially there. We need one more year, don't we, Mr. Manning, to get 3 years in?
Right.
It'd be my recommendation to go with ACCA.
I mean, in looking at all the information, that's why I tried to throw as much information out there as I can for you guys to look at, and any other, I've got the original quotes and policies all in there on my desk if you care to, you know, want to look through those, but these are the exact numbers.
Well, if you look at take the liability totally off of it, you add the ACC's other numbers up, and then you subtract the projected longevity bonus and the 32,
Mhm.
you're still coming up about 18,000 short less for ACCA.
Right. Well, and another thing to consider in that overall package, like I had mentioned, with property just being in its second year, they're this year in their meetings, their insurance meeting, they're putting forward the safety bonus portion of adding that into the property insurance section also. And then he said next year they're planning on doing an overall package bonus for the counties that are in all of the funds. So, and, you know, we have no way of knowing what that'll be, but it'll be some type of a package deal for all the counties that got into these funds originally, and you're in each one of them. And
So
so,
basically, 2/3 of counties are involved in it, aren't they?
yes, sir, 43 out of 67 is use the ACCA for all of the liability and all the property.
This one, 6, this one. Yeah, that was maybe it's maybe 17, 18.
But again,
And then
any
you got the
other
other-
questions?
That's the other research.
So you got this, I got calculated in, but it's some of the other 3 years to have a longevity thing in there.
You know, you can see that third year is substantial.
Yeah, so that's what that one was.
Yeah,
You have
if
to
you
get
just look at
another
the
one.
premiums,
Yeah.
you know, it tells, it doesn't tell the authority. You gotta
Well, that's why I
look at
said
it.
that
That's why I,
when I
well, that's
laid
why I
that,
subtracted
Yeah.
on that. You did it on your calculator?
when I laid that out side by side, I just wanted to footnote that the ACTRX does not have the discount deducted for that in there. So just keep that in mind as you look at that.
Any more discussion about this? Well, if there's no more discussion, we'll place this on the agenda for the next commission meeting. Next thing we have is amended job classification and description for the EMA director. And you'll have this in your packet as well. This is basically the same thing we did for the EMA director position. The old job description dated back to 1990, and I did a bit of stuff they changed at that time. So this basically is putting it in line with today's business. And the change the description. Currently, this job says assistant director, and I'm presenting to change that to deputy director. And with this, that would be, if you're an assistant, you're assistant director in what he does, but if you're a deputy director, you can perform the duties of the director in his absence. And I asked that change be made along with the job description. Have any discussion concerning this? If there's no objection, we'll place this on the agenda for the next commission meeting. The next thing we have is the safety coordinator resolution. This is also in your packet, and this is a requirement of the ACCA. And I was the safety coordinator as EMA director, and so we're passing it on down to the new EMA director. This is just a formality, but they need it in writing. And this is to get that, one of the 10 steps to get that safety bonus that we just talked about. So if there's no objection, we will place this on the agenda for the next commission meeting. The next thing is point of contact for Homeland Security. Again, this is a job that falls under the EMA directors. And I had that before, and they will just need in writing from the commission who the new point of contact will be for Homeland Security. And this person will be able to sign off on grants and so on. So if there's no objection, we'll place this on the agenda for next commission meeting. Next thing, we have amend job classification. Okay, we have one employee at the park that I think that inadvertently his classification was in error. He's a grade 12, step 11, and I asked that we move that to grade 13.
That's the department head.
Yes.
And all other department heads are
Already
grade
13.
13.
Right.
And,
13, step 1.
yeah.
So I just want classified right to start with, is that what you're saying?
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, we done all this at one time. There was 200 and something employees, and I mean, we knew we were gonna make some mistakes, and I think we corrected 4 or 5 all at one time a year or so ago. I don't
Right.
remember when it was.
It'd be 13, step 1.
Yeah, I was looking at that, so, yes.
Okay, Jason, do you want to talk
Yeah.
about that one at solid waste?
Yeah, we have a mechanic at solid waste and mechanic at public works. Mechanic at public works is a grade 10, and he's off the chart on scale because of seniority and stuff. When we done these, we kind of tried to classify each job. And then the mechanic at solid waste, was put at a grade 7. The guy that works with him, assistant mechanic, whatever his job title is, he's also at a 7. So the guy in charge is at a grade 7 with the guy right next to him, and then Public Works, you know, he's three grades above him. So I wanted everybody to look at that, and, you know, I encourage you to call and talk to department head, the employee, but I feel like we made a mistake there, and it needs to be looked at.
Do you know if he's a 7 what?
7, let's see, I have it on my phone here.
He's at a grade 7, step 13.
Step 13. And, I had, both department heads write me out what they felt like those two individuals' responsibilities were. I apologize, I didn't bring that tonight, but the major difference that I seen, or major differences I seen, was, on equipment, you know, the Public Works, they have a lot more pieces of equipment as far as, you know, from tractors to bulldozers to road vehicles and different, pieces of equipment, whereas, solid waste, you know, they've got pretty much dump trucks, you know, garbage trucks, roll off, so there's not as much equipment there. But the solid waste, you know, when they have a piece of equipment down, it's got a route. So, I mean, it's gotta get fixed and get back out on the route, where Public Works, you know, we can move on and do something else till we get that piece of equipment fixed. A lot of times, it may shut down a job that we're working on, but it doesn't shut the men down from work. And then the other major difference, the mechanic at, Public Works is a shop foreman. He's got responsibilities over employees, you know, has disciplinary, responsibilities and stuff, whereas I don't think that's the case at, solid waste. So that needs to either be taken into consideration, or that responsibility needs to be applied to that job description.
What are we looking at moving it to step?
Well, that's something we need to decide, you know.
And what step is he on right now?
He's a 7, 13,
That's what it works.
Yeah,
No, sanitation.
Right.
sanitation, right.
That's something that, you know,
And the person you're talking about at Public Works is a what?
he's a grade 10, but he's off the chart as far as where he shows up on the chart.
It's like a 15, something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember what his exact hourly pay is, but he's off of the chart on this. I mean, this was hard to put together and keep everybody in their qualifications in, you know.
Right.
But that's something that, you know, I just want y'all to look at as well and do some investigating on your own on it. And, I'd like to vote on that, you know, as soon as we could.
You think you'll be able to have something by next week, and be on that?
What was that again?
I was asking Mike if he thought he could have his, you know, if he wanted to talk to him or anything, then we could have it on the 8th, or if we need to put it off to the next time.
Oh,
What is your suggestion, Jason?
I would be willing to ready to make a recommendation, next week, but, you know, I want everybody to,
What are you looking at?
well, you know.
Like a grade 10?
Well, in my opinion, unless they have the same responsibilities for employees under them, I would think that it would need to be a grade 9
That's
in
what I'm saying.
a, you know, I don't know what step, but a grade 9. If the
responsibilities were added to him and to his job description, I would feel comfortable going to a 10. But I just don't feel comfortable going to a 10 unless, you know, he has that
Well,
responsibility.
this assistant and everything, did you think to ask Daryl if he tells him what to do?
He does, but.
Even though he doesn't have
And
the
he orders
disciplinary?
equipment, he orders parts and, I mean, the jobs, they do pretty much the same.
But I mean, does he sit there and say, you need to go out and fix this,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
we go out and
yeah,
fix it?
Yeah, he manages their day-to-day operations in the shop.
Maybe that needs to be added to his job description if he's gonna be telling people what to do.
And it may be, I haven't researched it.
Okay, that's something we need to.
That's what I'd do.
But this other one here is a 10, off the chart, is what we're saying now?
Yeah, he's a 10, but when we established this pay scale, he was already getting paid more than what the 10 classification
We're not saying
allowed.
equal him on the steps, just
Right.
equal him on the level over here.
So, yeah, the public works employee is a very senior employee, so he is a lot of
And
years
the-
of service.
Yeah, the mechanic at Public Works has been here since 94 or 5 or something, I can't remember, and the mechanic at Solid Waste is, I don't remember, 05 or something, he had a lot less.
They would have got those
So
3%
yeah,
increases
yeah,
all those
annual
years.
Increases all those years.
Any more discussion concerning this? Well, if there's no more discussion, if there's no objection, we'll place this on the agenda for the next commission meeting.
You know, it's table it and.
Right, right. The next thing we have is the Heritage Company. And I believe y'all have that in the packet. And this gentleman came to see me about 2 weeks ago. And I didn't know, I wasn't familiar with it at all. The Heritage Company, and basically this is a book that's given to survivors from someone who passes away at a funeral home. Very nice leather-bound book, and it's got people with who have sponsored this book, and it shows the current one that's out there, Jackson County Commission, along with several other people. And I didn't, my first knowing that this was even something that was out there. And you'll see on the front page where it's marked 2 annual payments, so it's pretty good payments. And I tried to contact Mr. Hodges about this in the past, and I didn't make conversation with him. Tim, you and Jason remember anything about this?
I do not.
I don't know.
I don't have any recollection of this, of any kind that this has ever been done before. That doesn't mean it wasn't there. I have no recollection of it.
Right.
Looks like one of us would remember.
And a lot of this, I mean, this is, it's a different situation, but it's very similar to, you know, the signs we put in gyms and in the baseball fields and stuff like that. And we've always paid that kind of stuff out of our own personal dollars.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got
And
my
I would
share of
remember
this?
this.
You got my share of this?
I promise you.
Yeah, that's not,
I think I told you when we talked about it, I think I remember chucking that out.
I don't win on this one.
I don't know the commission could pay this out of county funds. I mean, I just,
So y'all's answer is I don't recollect.
I don't recollect. Very good.
I
Well,
would definitely recollect next year when you come in.
so if there's no obligation, we'll place this on the agenda for the next commission meeting. Next, we have reports from the staff. Mr. Arnold?
I actually asked to be on the agenda, I don't know if I didn't get in time. I called in on Friday, but it was late. But I'll do all these.
Okay.
I give one to Mr. Porter too. I was thinking that I asked you guys, but Ms. Gilbert and Mr. Sisk, I don't think y'all were here at the time. This was passed back in, it's been over 20 years ago. It's a local law that was passed saying that we charge $2 per day per parcel, y'all remember this, for anybody that's late. So the previous commission, of course, Mr. Venable and Mr. Guppy was here, I came and I asked that that be taken off, because it's really at the county commission discretion. It says you may charge $2, because I just feel like it's unfair at the time.
This is the one we.
Oh, okay, y'all already, okay, y'all working. I couldn't remember, okay. So anyway, of course, y'all explained to me that you just can't afford to. I perfectly understand that, that's fine. But looking at the law closer, we've not been implementing it the way that the law was written. It says that the revenue commissioner, or the official that collects it, I'm supposed to keep an administrative fee. So I wasn't real sure, and like I told y'all before, we're the only county in the whole state that does it. So there's nobody I could ask, so I contacted Mr. Marshall, the Attorney General's office. And that's the opinion he sent me, that I am supposed to keep an administrative fee. But he couldn't tell me how much the administrative fee is. He said that's to be decided between me and the county commission. I know we've got some other fees that are 5%. I think there's some fees that you guys collect, maybe from the city of Scottsboro or something, that's 5%. So really, for 20 years, we're supposed to be collecting this fee, and it's supposed to go to the it's not a discretionary, it's not a it's not a discretionary fund, but it's supposed to go into my budget or into a fund to use to run my office, or actually use to offset any fee, any cost that it costs me to collect this $2 per day. So I'm asking you, I don't think there's no question about whether I'm supposed to keep it. I think it's more a question for you guys is how much I can. If you'll notice, it's on, I'm sorry, I'm going to mark it on there. I apologize, we've had a really busy day. It's the end of the year tax season. So it's on page 3, the last part of that, section B of that law. It says the proceeds of additional penalty of the county ad valorem taxes imposed by this tax at less cost of administration shall be deposited in the county general fund for general county government operations.
So what are you asking? Are you asking to quit doing the $2?
No, I'm not asking that. I'm saying, I was just reminding y'all that's what it was.
Okay.
I asked you a year ago to stop.
Right.
Again, I'll just, like I said a year ago, I don't think it's fair. It penalizes the poorest people in our county. The people that don't have the money to come pay their taxes on time is who it's penalizing. But it also generates anywhere from $130,000 to $160,000 a year revenue for the county, and their county's in a situation right now, I understand we can't really afford to do without that. Y'all expressed to me that you would like to take it off, but we just can't afford to right now. But I'm saying, in looking at it further, I'm depositing 100% of it into the general fund, and a portion of it I'm supposed to deposit into, for instance, Bob can tell you, we set up an account, there's a small discretionary fund that I have, I don't even remember which one it was, Bob might remember, but we set up a fund that goes into, and if I need to spend that money on office supplies, what I'd like to use this money for is to upgrade hardware, every year if I need computers or need to do anything with it, any kind of office supplies or something like that.
What percentage do you feel like,
I tell you-
more,
I tell you
what time you spend?
Yeah, I tell you, I think 5% is fair, because 5% is pretty standard. Like I said, I think 5% is what y'all keep of that money you send to the county, to the city. And I've got other discretionary funds, they're small, but they're 5%. I really like to ask this year that you let me do 10%, because like I said, it's been 20 years, we've never got anything off of it. It's all went to the general fund, but I'd like to ask that y'all let me do 10% this year, and then that'll make up for the 2 years I've been in office that we haven't collected it, and then from then on out, I'll do 5%.
So, would you do me a favor and bring this back up?
Sure.
This part,
Yeah.
we can go ahead and settle,
Yeah.
but as far as collecting it,
Yeah.
bring it back up at budget, when we started budget cycle. for 2019.
Well, like I explained to y'all before, it's really stressful on not just me, but my office, because you got these people, like I said, the poorest people in the county
I
that come
agree,
in late.
I agree with you
And
100%.
if you're 5 days late and you got 5 parcels, that's,
Yeah.
you owe the county a lot of money just on late fees.
Yeah, I agree with you, and there's no cap on it. Is
No,
there?
no. Well, at the tax sale, I mean, you know, finally when the tax sale goes, there's a cap on it.
That's the part that I hate to see, is the people that's disabled and can't do it, but there's also a lot on that list that can do it.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. It was started back in, I can't remember what year that.
And you gotta
in the
put
90s.
something out there and make them realize, hey,
If
pay the fee or.
if you don't, somebody will just keep on and on and
Yeah,
on
that's
paying
what I'm
until
saying,
the
'cause I
tax
looked across that
sale.
list, some of them on there, they got funds paid with it.
Well, there should be a cap on it at the least, and, you know, we passed this past budget with $20,000, you know, in the black surplus, so,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, I
hard for us to
perfectly
cut
understand not taking, that you
$140,000
can't
out
take it off right now.
of.
I hope the county gets into this place in the future where we do take it off. Us and DeKalb is the only counties out of 67, and DeKalb has $1 per day, and theirs goes to the water. I mean, all that dollar a day, it goes to the water departments. You know, ours just goes in the general fund, and right now, the general fund needs it, I understand that, but,
Of course, a lot of other counties, just to add a comment in there too, a lot of other counties have money going to the general fund
yeah.
from other sources, and
Right.
Jackson County has none, so.
Right.
Yeah,
You know,
I understand we need
It's hard
funds,
to
but,
compare apples to apples, we're
Yeah.
looking at 67 counties and the way different counties, we're one.
no, I perfectly understand that, but
Yeah.
we're penalizing the people that,
Yeah, I
you know,
understand.
we're penalizing the people that can't afford to pay the $2 per day.
I agree with that. I wanna look at it again when it comes
Yeah.
next
But-
budget cycle.
But besides that, like I said, I was just bringing that up to remind you this is what I'm talking about. But in further reading the law, it was, I don't know if it was just not implemented right back in the, I don't even know exactly, it might have been 88, 89, somewhere around there that it was passed. But it plain, if you read there and you read Steve's opinion, he plainly says, yes, I'm supposed to get an administrative fee, but he just says it's up to me and you, me and the county commission to decide how much that administrative fee is.
I wouldn't be opposed to, you know, what you laid out.
Yeah, that'd be my recommendation, do 10 this year and 5 in that.
And just to go back, I looked back several years, it's been anywhere from 100, last year it was 130, a few years back it was 160, so it's gonna fluctuate anywhere between 130,000,
That was
160,000.
something in my mind, I think about it before, I think we'd averaged 3 years, and it was 144,000 or something like that.
But when I first got elected, that's the first thing I did was I asked Mr. Hodges, I said, let's take this off, it's not fair, you know, and he said, yeah, you definitely, let's take it off. But then once you guys got in office and you realized, hey, we're broke, you know, he told me, he said, we just can't take it off right now.
When I was in Fraser, we had a guy who had a $365,000 lake lot and wouldn't pay his taxes. And he was charged $2 a day.
Well, did
That's
we
pretty
ever-
cheap.
I think there's one out there around close to Henniker, or right by it or something, they owe us a bunch of money on that,
Pollinite.
all the money.
Yeah, that wasn't, nothing to do with this, that was on an abatement, that they didn't
Abatement,
file
yeah.
correctly, that's
Yeah.
right, yeah. Yeah, we finally settled that case, so, yeah.
Well, if there's no further discussion, there's no objection, we'll place this on the agenda for the next commission meeting.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeff.
I'm gonna go back and see if I can check it.
Do we get 5% of that? Oh, never mind.
I mean, I get a lot more than that. We can cut it to 5%.
Mr. Campbell, you have anything?
Thank you. No, sir.
Mr. Porter, you have anything?
Nothing.
Now we'll hear from the commission. Ms. Gilbert, you have anything?
We just need to check into putting that insurance or that fee for those grants back on the meeting to talk about or something.
Okay. You talking about that one that's $3,000?
Yes.
You want that to come up as a motion at the next meeting?
What do you guys think?
I'm comfortable with that discussion.
Yeah, we can discuss that.
We can do a
So much all
discussion.
thing,
Yeah.
We can have a discussion and then put it up for a motion.
Just make it short, because ball
Yeah.
I'm thinking it'll be about 9 o'clock before we do it. You have anything to say?
Wait a minute, I wanna go back and
Okay.
count this 1-818-18181818 for next week. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Mr. Fennell?
No.
Mr. Guthrie? Well, that concludes everything we have on the agenda for today's work session. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Okay.
Got a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Meeting adjourned.